What's a happy ending anyway? To me. I've always been sort of a hipster and sort of a romantic. I grew up with Disney movies and sanitized fairy tales with happy endings, and naturally I wanted to experience that too. But I don't know who told me, I just knew happily ever afters weren't actually a thing. But in spite of that, I was obsessed with finding somebody to love. You know, my first ever crush was a boy in my kindergarten class named Alan. And then it was Kevin. And then it was Austin. And then Gabe. And then Jack. I never actually wanted to pursue them. I just wanted to imagine the sort of love story we might have if only we were older and in a Disney movie. I tried pursuing Jack once, but that was honestly only because my friends pressured me to. And nothing happened because we were barely acquaintances. We never talked. God, middle school. But by the time I got over Jack, I was at the point where I was finally figuring out what kind of career I wanted. And I decided that I would never choose a crush over pursuing my dreams. It wasn't rooted in feminism or anything. Back then I didn't even know about feminism. I just didn't like cliches. I've always been a hipster, again. And I didn't believe in the sappy romantic ending that I secretly wanted. Austin was the crush that actually hammered that home. I fantasized about him for 3 straight years in elementary school, but I was way too proud to admit it. I heard that a couple other boys had crushes on me, so I decided to act like I was too proud for boys so I could use it as a reason to turn them down. And then I kept it up when I heard that Austin had a crush on me too. Can you tell that I lack a few social skills? God. Anyway, I was mean to him for years just because he liked me. And then in 5th grade, he started dating my best friend. So I don't actually know what kids do when they date in elementary school. But at the very least, it was symbolic. My best friend asked me if it was okay because I told her that I used to have a crush on him, and I just kinda played it cool. I kept up the proud act for a while, but it started to crumble, little by little. And I had a very Disney Channel style moment at the end of school dance where I stood outside and just cried by myself as I realized that I messed up and I still had feelings for him. And that's where my friend found me. I confessed everything to her, and she reassured me that our friendship mattered more to her than this 5th grade boyfriend-girlfriend thing, and she said she didn't want to be with him if it would hurt me. I never really saw either of them after that, because the dance happened after the end of 5th grade, and then we all went to middle school, but it left a huge impact on me, so much that I doubled down on not pursuing romance, and managed to avoid almost all relationship drama through sheer neutrality for the next 8 years. I also resolved to never be prideful again, but that's a whole other issue. Anyways, 8 years later, in college, I finally started to realize that I had no good reason to wall off potential partners like I had been doing for so long. So I finally started trying to open up. I didn't want to fall into idealistic pitfalls like so many people do, so I tried to reconstruct my concept of love and define my own happy ending. Because, you know, there are different things that society tells us about love. Like the old Disney princess movies tell us that it's something that happens within seconds of meeting the other person, and it lasts forever, and it conquers all evil, and there's a lot of things wrong with that. But we all know it's full of shit. Even so, even though we know better, most people are just like me, and we want that kind of love anyway. it's pure and it's uncomplicated. Things that our love lives definitely aren't. And honestly, who wouldn't want some perfect person to come along and solve all of our problems with a single romantic kiss? But then there's the church's idea of love. Now, personally, I'm not going to single out any certain church because I'm not very well versed in theology. I'm just going to focus on the idea that came up in I Will Follow You Into the Dark in the second verse. The singer says, "In Catholic school, as vicious as Roman rule, I got my knuckles bruised by a lady in black, and I held my tongue as she told me, 'Son, fear is the heart of love.' So I never went back." So, that's the idea. Fear is the heart of love. Now, unlike the singer, the church never did anything to hurt me. I just slowly realized that some of what they were teaching me didn't actually align with my personal morals, so I drifted away. I grew up with non-denominational Christian Sunday school, by the way. And one of those things that didn't align with me was this exact idea. Now, don't get me wrong, I sort of get why it exists. If you fear somebody, it's a sort of respect, and in my opinion, love should always come from a place of respect. But the thing is, if you fear something, that gives it power over you. Fear is inherently hierarchical, and I don't think love should be hierarchical. At the very least, not romantic love. I want a love that's based on mutual respect and admiration. I want to get married someday, and married people should be able to act as a team with their partner. So, I need to be with somebody who I admire, who I think is capable, and somebody who I respect, who I'm going to listen to, even when they disagree with me. And that person needs to respect and admire me in the same way, or else the relationship is going to be unbalanced. So, the question was, what's a happy ending, really? What kind of end do I want? To be blunt, death is the only true end, and I'm always going to be struggling in life, whether or not I have the love that I want. That's why in the song, in I Will Follow You Into the Dark, the singer describes their happy ending as joining their love in the darkness beyond death. I guess this could be interpreted as suicidal, like they plan on killing themselves when their partner dies. But I don't read it that way. They do say, "Someday you will die, but I'll be close behind." But close behind doesn't necessarily mean immediately after. In comparison to an eternity of darkness after death, living for 10, 15, 30 years or more after your partner passes away isn't very much. And you could definitely still say that you're close behind. In the third verse, the singer talks about all the adventures that they've experienced with their partner, and they say, "The soles of your shoes are all worn down. The time for sleep is now." Right there, in that moment, it definitely seems like their partner is close to death, but the singer isn't. If they were, they would probably say that both of their shoes are worn down, and focus on going together instead of one after another. The song isn't a sad goodbye, and it's not a happy ending either. It's more just a lullaby. It's saying, "Don't worry, I'll see you soon," even though how soon is uncertain. The more I think about it, the more I want that type of ending. When love lasts for such a long time and right up to death and beyond, for the person who dies, they have the comfort of having that love in their final moments. And for the person who continues on, they had the cleanest end to the relationship possible. You know, there was no breakup, there was no growing apart. There was just a lullaby, a promise, and an end. I can't say that I truly understand what it would be like to be a widow, but if the end happened that way, I don't think I would mind an extended epilogue. I wonder what other people think about endings, and if they have different things they'd like to happen. Do they want a happy ending, or do they want an ending of a different kind? Maybe the ending they want isn't actually an ending that involves death, but it's still an ending of some sort. Who knows, they might reject endings. Maybe I'll ask.